That whole thing is a little wild.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Candido County Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. Please stand as you are able for the pledge. I want to thank everyone for being in the room today, as well as all y'all that are out on watching us on YouTube. Really appreciate your engagement here today. At this time, I would request approval of today's agenda.
Mr. Chair, I so move.
Commissioner Dale Anderson moves.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Dwayne Anderson seconds. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. The next item is the consent agenda that today includes the approval of the February 3rd, 2026 County Board legal minutes, approval of the auditors, warrants and claims, approval of human services, warrants and claims, and cancellation of certain human services warrants. All routine stuff. We're paying the bills.
Mr. Chair, I so move.
Commissioner Berg moves. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Dwayne Anderson seconds. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. At this time, we have a resolution before us, and I'm going to ask Jennifer Swenson, Executive Director of Prairie Woods Environmental Learning Center, to introduce this to us. Jennifer, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Yeah, Jennifer Swenson, Prairie Woods Environmental Learning Center. And today we have a resolution authorizing an environmental and archaeological grant application to Greater Minnesota Regional Parks and Trails Commission and the Minnesota DNR for the Prairie Woods Phase 1 Master Plan project. So just a reminder that last year Prairie Woods completed master planning and were officially designated as part of the Greater Minnesota Regional Parks and Trails Commission system. And that was a big step for us. This year, we plan to pursue some funding in order to achieve some of the projects from the master plan and move some of these projects forward. Phase 1 includes quite a few projects, and so we're working to prioritize a few projects for funding for an application that's due later this July. Those priorities would include a welcome center addition to the front of our education building to make it more accessible, and the parking associated with that, and a few possible improvements to the outdoor canoe and kayak dock and the yurt area. But before we can apply for funding for construction, we want to first complete the appropriate environmental and archaeological reviews and assessment. And so we're planning responsibly from the start without any delays. And so we're planning to apply for this environmental archaeological grant in an amount not to exceed $50,000 to help cover those early planning and assessment costs. There's no required match for the $50,000 grant, and we're not requesting any funding from the county. Just this resolution that would be submitted with our application. And the Prairie Woods Board also approved a resolution similar to this one.
Thank you. Any questions for Jennifer?
Mr. Chair, I'd move on 2026-11.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Discussion. Commissioner Imdag.
Jennifer, thank you. Will you just describe a little bit what an environmental and archaeological study is?
Of course. It would cover determining whether the area is developable based on different permitting, natural history, rare plant species, just to identify whether the area is okay to develop. Artifacts, archaeology, things like that, that would be reviewed and assessed and kind of checked off on. And that process takes several months that's why it's important to start it early, even as you're thinking of what projects you want to ask for funding for.
All right. Yes, continue.
Thank you. And this is not really different than what we do for any public works things. And I asked the question only because, some people who are listening or in the room might wonder the same thing. What is a study
Yes.
like that for?
Exactly.
Most people seem to be familiar with Indigenous Americans and artifacts that may have been left behind, like cemeteries and that kind of stuff. So, thank you.
Exactly, yeah.
Any other questions? Commissioner Burke?
Mr. Chair, thank you, Mr. Chair. Sounds like kind of a no-brainer to me. I do have a question, though. How long before you find out if you do get the grant, and how long a time frame you expect us to take before you can proceed?
Sure. So this is our first funding ask for this pre-work. And then, as I mentioned, there is a legacy funding application. Their deadline this year is in July. And so we're currently pulling together people that we need to help us create that funding application. For example, an architect to help design what we would want the front of the building to look like. And so that process can take up to 3 years before you actually would complete a project.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
and I would like to come back once we narrow down our funding application for July and talk about that as well.
Anyone else? All right, hearing nothing else, Jennifer, thank you so much. We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2026-11. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? That motion passes. Thank you and good luck. At this time, we have another resolution under consideration, approving town road account payments. Public Works Director Mel Odens is going to present. Mel, good morning.
Yep. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Before you is consideration of an annual town road distribution calculation for the 24 townships in Candiac County. Every year in February, there's a distribution that the county board is the financial steward that takes the state money and distributes it to the 24 townships in our case. But a year and a half ago, I suppose, or a little over a year ago, some of the town board members had suggested that we take a look at the formula that currently is 60-40, 60% based on miles and 40% based on the population of any township. And so we did. We met with Donnell Williamson then a year ago at the annual town meeting in March. It was discussed at the annual meeting for consideration of, do we want to take a look at a new formula, or do we want to continue with the 60-40? There was a consensus to have Donnell work up some options, and so he did, and distributed it over the summer to the townships. And then last fall, in September, we do a fall road and bridge township meeting, and they voted on it, which one to perhaps consider. And they voted, I think, I don't remember what the exact vote was, but it was to go with 100% mileage and not population. So it went from 60-40 to 100 and 0. So that was the vote. Donnell came to our January 20th meeting and asked for the board to consider revising the formula. It was kind of a head nod, maybe you want to consider this. Well, now the day has come where we got the money, we need to distribute it, but we don't have an official vote. Okay, so that's where we are. This is according to Minnesota Statute 162.081, and that explains on the requirements of the county, of any county board, that once you get the money, you have 30 days to get it to the township and in their hands. You can't just hang on to it. And so we didn't actually get the money until February 4th, so we technically would have until March 4th. Okay, so there is a technicality here that you could go to one more meeting if you really want to do. I just want to make that clear because I don't want to feel like our backs are up against the wall, even though this is typically what we would do. So anyway, with that being said, I put together a summary of what Donnell had, and I've also put a formula or a resolution in here of the 100%. So, Mr. Chair, it's my recommendation to consider this and open it up for discussion, and then you can have staff revise the resolution to whatever you may want. So I would open it up for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the director?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Imbeck?
Thank you. And so, I think I understand this right, but if we do nothing, it will stay at the 640, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Burke?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is there any other county in Minnesota, or how many counties go 100%?
The only two counties that are Anoka and Ramsey, because they're 100% incorporated. The other ones, they do maybe 95.5 or some version thereof. And I think I put a summary in there. There's a lot of variety. The default's 50-50. And like in our case, in Kansas County, I think we went to 60-40 because we do have some urbanized or some developed townships that perhaps have a little more strain, and so they did edge a little bit. They went 60% mileage and maybe a little bit less on the population so the rural townships would have a little bit of an edge, if you will. We're not talking large dollars. We're talking, the total amount this year is $605,861. It shows that it's down. I don't know if you want me to explain that, but I will just in 30 seconds. The delivery fee and the auto parts sales tax is put into a transportation alternatives account, TAA. That is not included in here. And that's usually between $50,000 to $70,000. So if you add that back in here, you're actually getting the same or a slight increase. So the reason on that is because they do basically an estimate in February, but they don't know the final distribution until August. So the state was saying, this is a new funding stream. Do we want to keep going with estimate, final for financial purposes, or do we just go final and then give this the next year? And so they chose 2026 to take the TAA money, estimate, final, and actually give this, would be February of 27.
Commissioner, sure, follow up?
No, I'll just.
Oh, no, okay. Commissioner Anderson?
I know I requested people to call me about this when it got brought up when Danielle did it, and I have gotten a few phone calls. I've gotten some phone calls that have different opinions all the way across. But, I think the biggest thing that I look at when I really looked at this the last couple weeks is, there's not a perfect way to be fair, but we have to be equitable, and I think that's the thing that we have to look at is what's equitable to everybody to make this work. And I mean, it would be great for the small townships to get that extra money to help with their roads, but yet I think we have to look at where our population is traveling on and where we're probably beating up the roads the worst, or maybe it still goes back. I've had some conversation with a couple of people that maybe some of these farms have to start putting in some money into the game for how much they're using these roads. And maybe that's an option that has to be looked at by these townships. I'm not saying that's the 100% answer, but, we have to, as people in our community, be responsible for some of the damage that we do also, I feel. I mean, I'm a farmer. I've busted up a road, and I've put my money into it because I know it was my fault. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's something that maybe these townships maybe need to go back and ask some of these people that are using them a lot if they'd be willing to, at least if it does happen, the one busts up, because I mean, it might never happen or it could happen. So I think maybe that's maybe a way to get some money into these townships to help with some of these bigger road projects, because they weren't built for what's being pushed across them every fall and every spring. They just never were built for that. They were built for a car probably back in the 50s or 30s, and they weren't very big vehicles back then. So I guess that's the biggest thing that I look at, is maybe there's other options for some of these townships to get some money in to help them with these road projects also.
Commissioner Berg?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Question, these dollars that go to the townships, they can be only used for the road, or they can use?
Correct.
It's intended for road, yep,
And may I just,
construction, reconstruction, and maintenance.
okay, and then just to basically follow up on that, knowing different size townships, $6,000 to $20,000 can make a big difference. If you're counting, have they been counting on the regular amount coming in, or is this something?
So a few townships called me and basically wanted to know the swing, plus or minus on this. And so I gave them the 60/40 and I gave them the new. You know, I don't want to diminish the impact of this to the townships. It's a lot of money to the townships and a percent of their budgets. It's just that the swing isn't dramatic, if you will. I mean, I think the bigger swing is on the urban townships would be the bigger swing. The smaller ones is plus or minus $3,000 or something.
It look like maybe up to 20, if I may.
The larger ones would be up to 20 to 25,000. Yeah.
Yep.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. So I got a call yesterday about this, and then they told me that the statute says that it must take into account road miles and the population. And I said, it doesn't say that, does it? And I said, well, when I get done, I'll look up the law. And I said, you look up the law too, and we'll figure it out. Well, that person was right. And so I guess my question is to our county attorney, Baker. Part of the thing is, our responsibility is not to get the county in trouble, and I think in this case also not to get the townships in trouble. But I would like to see if Attorney Baker would have an opinion on the law and what it says, or how much weight we gotta put on it on population when it says you must.
I'm looking at statute 162081. It indicates factors the board must consider include town's population and town road mileage and other factors deemed advisable. So you do need to consider population, which would suggest that having a 100-0 split, not accounting for population, could not be done. Well, what weight to give the population is up to you on what you think is equitable for the towns.
So we would have to kind of justify whatever number we come up with, or whatever number is presented.
Yeah, but at least you gotta have
We can't just throw a
some,
number out there. We gotta be able to justify it somehow.
and I mean whether, because obviously the closer you go to 100%, the more that's distributed to the lower population townships. You may think that's equitable, you may think it's based on population, but population should be part of the formula and not 0%.
I'm going to ask a question.
And the chart the packet did have like around 54 counties where the formulas were distributed, and you can see that it's.
And that's kind of where I was going to go with this, on that item that was provided in the packet. Notes that, and I understand this is pretty recent, Chippewa did 95.
Yep.
In order to get around this very issue that you're raising, I would assume. I haven't talked to any of our friends over there, but I would assume that's what they were doing.
It would seem that way.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Berg?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did have a question. How long have we been at the 60/40?
You know, I didn't look back. I think the last time it was reviewed is maybe 2005 to 10, probably 15, 20 years.
Have you had any?
Well, I think at the time, there was some debate. I think what it does is it's good discussion, first of all, because it brings some light to some of the money that we get from the sales tax and some of the money we get from gas tax that goes to the town board. I mean, I certify the miles every year. We drive, I have to certify all the money that goes here. I have to certify these miles that are being driven at least 8 months and maintained, at least 8 months a year. And so this isn't just a flippant thing. So it's good to bring attention to it and it's good to discuss it. And I think at the time, they had some of this very similar discussion and they just ended up sticking with the 60-40 because it seemed to be the most equitable. I don't know how you ask anybody what, you know, there's a little bit of a subjective thing to this. You want to be fair and you want to get the money out to the townships.
Mr. Chair?
I have Commissioner Berg first.
Oh, I'm done.
and then- Oh, you're done? Yeah. Okay. Commissioner Imbeck.
This is really not pertinent to the decision we make, but it might be of interest to those listening. What is the source of that gravel tax? Where does it come from?
Oh, the gravel tax? That's, the gravel tax is not, the source of the gravel taxes is a different subject, but that's from the gravel pits.
Right, they pay so much per yard or
Yep.
ton or
yep.
whatever.
And that's by,
And it goes into a pot and then it gets distributed under this formula at this point.
not this formula, this is a different formula.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the HUTTF.
All right, thanks for that clarification.
Can we get the, there's a request to have the list of the townships and the impacts, if we can get that up on the screen.
Sure.
At page 14.
Oh, can you do it from there? Oh, sure. Can do it. I don't need to pop it open then.
That or Mel, if you can have that, we could just do the overhead too. We're getting it. That one right there. Yep.
No. Oh, you want that one? Which one do you want?
Well, maybe both. I was thinking for the audience, and the people, so they know
I think
some of the details.
Can you read it?
This is, which one do you want?
The one that you were already on here. So,
Yeah.
yeah, the page 14.
The spreadsheet.
Right there.
And then if you can, yep, perfect. All right. Any other questions from the board? So it was presented to us as a 100% miles formula, which, according to the advice from our attorney, would seem to not follow statute. And so I guess I have a level of discomfort with a couple of things here. One is that the County Township Association did discuss this. Not every township participated. But most of them, and most of ours are the lower density population townships, wanted to go to this formula, and that's why the Township Association brought this forward to us. But it still seems to me as though there's a little bit of angst amongst some of our other townships over that decision. And I guess I'm curious, you know, what it would take to have the townships go back to the table and work something up. I mean, yeah, we're kind of up against it right now, I think I heard you say.
Yeah, so Administrator and I talked about this. There's a couple options. We could revise the formula and get this resolution revised yet for today, if you so chose. You could leave it like it is and discuss it, and then next year we could take into account whether it's tax capacity or levy or population or equalization. There's a lot of things you could do. And that's my point, was a little bit like, the Townships Association just wanted to revisit it because it hasn't been revisited for quite some years. And there's a lot of new people and maybe bring the equity part into it again. And so it isn't bad to revisit something and then come up with a solution. I don't know that I would want you to feel like you're making a bad decision either way. Maybe you could leave it and we could do more work and then next year, or we could revise something today and I could get you something back yet today, so.
Any thoughts from the board?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Commissioner Imdak.
perhaps you just want to ask to see if there's a motion for the resolution.
Is there a motion to move the resolution forward? Hearing no one to move on the resolution, we are open for more discussion on this. Commissioner?
I would love to do what the townships want.
Yep.
Because I was a township officer for many years, and I hated that the county would say, no, we're not gonna do it this way, we're gonna do it our way. But when it's pointed out that you must consider population, that makes me stop and go, wait a minute, I don't wanna get us in trouble, and I don't wanna get the townships in trouble either. So I'm really struggling with this. But I think maybe the option then is just to say, let's take a pause, a 1-year pause, and then put it back to the townships. I don't want to say no, but I think it's got to be looked at better. I think when Attorney Baker says you can't go 100 for road miles and 0 for population, because whatever number we would have to come up with, we'd have to be able to justify it. Potentially, and so then to just throw another number out there, to me it's hard to do, and because I'm just throwing numbers out there at that point. So I guess I'm gonna make the motion. I think I'll make the motion, and I'm gonna get dinged on this, because I know there's a lot in my town, or my district, that want it to go 100% road miles. But I'll make the motion to keep it the same at 60-40. And hopefully we can get together with the Township Association and come up with a number for next year that will work. I think 100 for miles and 0 for population at this point doesn't work. So that's my motion, is to keep it the same as 60-40 for this year, and hopefully we can come up with another number next year, so.
We have a motion by Commissioner Dwayne Anderson to keep the formula the same for 2026. Is there a second?
Mr. Chair. I think it's actually moot because we had a resolution 2024-13 and it's failed. So essentially, it will stay the same without any further action at this point. But I would agree with what Commissioner Anderson said, is that it shouldn't be the county making that decision, and I would encourage the townships to continue to talk. And, I mean, I live in the township, and so my township and the townships in my district would be affected quite a bit in a downward level. But again, it was my township that first brought this idea up, and so I think the townships could spend some time working it out, and I don't think we should be making that decision for what that split would be.
Commissioner Anderson.
I totally agree with what Dwayne was saying and what Roger said. I think it would be great to have some more time for them to kind of come up with something and figure out how we can make this better for everybody. I know it's an important thing for the small townships, because it's a way for them to get some revenue without levying their constituents. But yet I think we have to look at the whole county as a whole, and that makes it hard because there is a lot of variation in our county for size on different townships and that. So if they could go back and work on this some more, that would be great. And come up with a different thing. Maybe we go to a 70-30 or whatever that number gets to be. But like Dwayne said, it's hard for us to come up with that. We're just pulling numbers out of the air, I think, at this point, if we keep going. So, thanks.
Yeah, I think we would be put in the position of trying to split the baby at this point in time. So Commissioner Anderson.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I have a point of order though on that because under the statute, and I'm not a lawyer, but this is what I read yesterday, and Attorney Baker can maybe clarify this, but under subdivision 3, the amounts must be paid in a sufficient time to allow the county to distribute the amounts to each town by March 1st annually. So we gotta decide today. If we take no action, I don't know what happens, but, I think it reverts to 50-50.
I would look for clarification from the administrator and the county attorney. Administrator Baker.
We still would have to pass a resolution. We typically still pass a resolution. Even if we don't pass a resolution, Commissioner Dwayne Anderson would be right, then it would resort back to that 50-50. Every year,
Yes.
Public Works Director does bring a resolution with the 60-40 split, notifying the townships of what it will be. So per Dwayne's point, we still need to pass the resolution, which I know Mel has readily available with that 60-40. That would be the standard resolution you would have passed if this wouldn't have
Been a
been brought
discussion.
forward, been a discussion. And so I think your motion, maybe you want to clarify in your motion that it would, it's the 60-40 split. And then we would get, that resolution would replace what we have in your board packet.
That would be correct. And to your point, the statute does say, or within 30 days of receipt of the dollars. We got it on February 4th. So that's why I was saying if, I just wanted to be clear that if this says March 1, and that's probably since the start of time is what we've done. You know what I mean?
So you could pass that resolution today or make the motion that it would be the 60-40 split, including the resolution, or Mel could bring the resolution back at the March 3rd meeting and that would be in sufficient time. But either way, the county board would still have to pass that 60-40 split resolution by the March 4th.
I mean, if you're in consensus, it seems like we just do it. And then we get the
So if we
money.
kick the can down the road to the next meeting, is there time to talk with townships or, because I think we should really move on this. And-
My recommendation, what it does is it puts all of us in a little bit of a, not that maybe matters that staff gets put in a pinch, but it might mean manual checks or something, because you would only have hours to get it by state statute if we wait till next meeting.
I would ask Attorney Baker if he has anything to add in regards to the point of order that was raised.
Nothing additional. I agree that we need a
So,
resolution.
so you're feeling that, that we should probably make a motion to continue, I mean, we've always done a resolution with 60-40, that's every year. And that's what we approve.
Yeah, to do the decision today.
I have Commissioner Burt first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't want to kick the can down the road. I think we can make a decision today, and I think we should.
Thank you, Commissioner Deck.
So I would offer an amendment to Resolution 2026-12 to use the formula of 60-40 for the distribution.
Is that amendment agreeable?
Yep.
All right. So everybody understands then that the motion would be to approve 2026-12 with the existing 60-40 split. That's the Reader's Digest condensed version.
We need a second though for that.
We still need a second.
Yep. Thank you. Is there a second? We need a second to the amendment first. Yes? Or to the main motion?
The main.
We need a second to the main motion first.
Well, actually, I don't represent a township, so I'm thinking it should come from the township. One of you would want to make that decision.
Well, the chair will second.
Okay.
Even though he's in the same boat.
Yes, all right.
And now we have an amendment to the main motion, offering up the specific 60-40 split. Is there a second to the amendment?
You just made it.
You seconded it.
You just,
Oh, okay,
Yeah, you're-
that's right, thank you. Thank you for that. All right, discussion on the motion as amended. Anything else? Are we ready to vote? All right, very good. All in favor of passing Resolution 2026-12 as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that motion passes. Thank you very much. Should be okay here. At this time, let's,
are we gonna be going through every one of these tax forfeits? It looks like a lot of stuff and a lot of explanation, then maybe we should take this break before that.
yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, I was gonna say, there's a lot of technical stuff here, so we're gonna be on this one a while. So yeah, we will take a 10-minute recess. All right, the Candido High County Board of Commissioners is back in session. At this time, we have another resolution, actually two, Resolutions 2026-13 and 14. Consider approving tax forfeited land sales. We have Michelle Hanson, our Deputy Auditor and Elections Coordinator, with us here today to bring up this subject. And this comes just as a reminder for the board. This comes out of the Supreme Court decision on Tyler versus Minneapolis that unanimously found that the state's tax forfeited statutes were unconstitutional. And so our association, as well as many others and auditors across the state, worked to come up with legislation to be able to have a new system, and now we're starting to work through that. Michelle, you're going to guide us through that today. Good luck.
Good morning. Members of the board, Michelle Hanson, Deputy Auditor, Treasurer, and Elections Coordinator, as Mr. Chair said already. This is a lot of stuff. I'll just say, if you've looked at it at all, in your board packet, there's a lot of information here, and so I'm hopefully gonna try and walk through it and simplify what I can for you. But as Mr. Chair had said, this is result of the Tyler lawsuit, and basically the tax forfeited process now has a lot to do with the timing of when these properties were forfeited. So there's two time periods, if you will. The first is the good faith time period. These are the parcels that were forfeited between June 23rd of 2016 and December 31st of 23. So those parcels are to be handled one way. The ones that have been forfeited after December 31st of 23 have a different process. So in the background information, I've spelled that out for you. Basically, our two resolutions have to do with those two types of forfeitures. And so the first resolution, 2026-13, has to do with those good faith parcels and the parcels that were forfeited during that process, or that time period, excuse me. As another caveat to that, any parcels that were residential, 4 units or less, must be offered for the first 30 days to someone that will own, occupy, use those properties for non-commercial residential use. So these can't be turned into rentals. They can't be purchased by folks that will turn them into rentals. And so that's a 30-day requirement.
Sure.
Yes.
Commissioner Imdek.
Well, I had two questions. You just answered the other one about you can't, collect these and turn them into rentals. But does previous owner get the first right of refusal?
I believe at this point, we're beyond the point where that first owner could repurchase.
Okay.
Shane can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that there is no way for them to purchase them without paying exactly what they would have had to pay to redeem it. Does that make sense? So that first 30 days, that residential requirement, what it does is it essentially makes us have two separate auctions for these good faith parcels. So it's a step 1 and a step 2 of those good faith parcels. So resolution 26-13 is for those good faith parcels. What we're proposing to do is set our first auction, which is March 30th at 9 a.m. And there is a list of the parcels that are residential properties with that residential requirement. So there are a handful of parcels listed there in City of Wilmer, City of Sunburg, City of Raymond, and City of Lake Lillian. Those parcels all were residential prior to forfeiture, so they need to be following that residential requirement. The properties are, the sale price is set by appraisal or a suggested appraisal by the county assessor. And there are some exceptions to that. as far as we are allowed to include some fees, some of the county's expenses in that sale price so that we can recover some of that. If those properties do not sell at that first sale, they can be purchased over the counter through our office for the following 30 days at that same sale price listed on the auction, with that same residential requirement for that first 30 days. If they do not sell, then we move on to sale number 2, which we've tentatively set as April 29th, which is any of those parcels that did not sell on that first auction, of this good faith auction. The residential requirement would be lifted then, and then there are 2 additional properties that were commercial type properties in the city of Atwater that will be added to it because they don't have that residential requirement. So those are our 2 sales. At the time of the second sale, again, if the properties don't sell, they could be sold, purchased across the counter through our office beginning the following day. One of the other things that came out of the Tyler auction, or the Tyler lawsuit, excuse me, is that no longer can the parcels be purchased on a contract. They must be purchased by cash only. Reason being is that we are required to send a certain portion to the state, and that has to be available funds immediately if there are former owners or somebody that has a claim against the property files that to recoup those funds. So those funds have to be available. The other requirement that I've put into our terms of sale, that's not exactly spelled out in the resolution, but it is further in the terms of sale, is I'm seeing other counties are now having a requirement about potential purchasers or bidders not having any delinquent taxes on any other properties in the county. So anyone that wanted to be a potential buyer or bidder would need to make sure that their own current property taxes are current. So we don't want to create a snowball effect. And so we felt that that was appropriate to add to ours as well. And so I've added that. So that is in our terms of sale. It's not exactly spelled out in the resolution. The resolution is basically just a summary for you. Any questions on that first round?
Commissioner Berg.
Well, not a question about that, but a question about the descriptions of the property, and most people don't have a plat book, and neither do I. It'd be nice to have a map somehow online or something, because if we want to put up for auction, you know, that people, oh, that's the lot next door where I live, I might want to bid on that. So I know they can come in and get the information, see where it's at, but can there some way we can make this auction a little bit more available online, that people can say,
Yes.
oh, this is that property down the block, I might be interested in that.
Right.
Might be able to sell it better.
So one of the other requirements with the Tyler lawsuit is that it must be published 30 days prior to the auction itself. And then we also need to market it per se. So the plan is to put it out on our website. I was planning to speak to Kelsey's office about using some of our social media to drive them to our website as well, and kind of use that platform. The other item is that we are required to notify adjacent owners that the parcels are coming for sale. And again, we can drive them to the website for further information. And then, of course, they can come to our office as well.
Good, and thank you for the clarification.
And per the information within your board packet, along with the resolution, we have the parcel numbers.
Yes.
Which then are on our county GIS, public-facing website, you can punch in those parcel numbers and it'll pull it
Yeah.
directly up. So
Yes,
yes.
I knew I can go through all those steps for every one of those. I'm not sure
Yep.
about that.
Right, we'll have more detailed information if board approval.
Sure. Good, thank you.
Commissioner Imdahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So these, I'm going to call them rules. Are they set by statute?
I believe so. What we are utilizing, and I believe we included this in your board packet, was this handy little chart that AMC put out shortly after the Tyler lawsuit in one of their publications. It just breaks it down and makes it a lot easier to look at because it is a lot of information. But it does talk about each of these time periods when the properties are forfeited and the requirements, the additional sale requirement, and that residential requirement is in there.
I have a couple of other
Go
questions.
ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
How much time does the person have to occupy? Because most of them are likely gonna take a fair amount of work to get them into many of our tax forfeited parcels are gonna require some work.
Right.
So is there a time frame? I thought I heard you say 30 days, but that seems awful short.
The 30 days is that they have to be offered as a residential. They have to be offered to someone that's going to own or occupy it as a residential for that first 30 days. So we can't sell it to anybody that, for instance, will want to use it as a rental.
So is there a time frame? I mean, I don't think you'd want this to drag on for years and years as somebody's work, and we have examples of that too in the county. But is there a time frame?
I don't know that.
Okay.
And Attorney Baker, do you have any?
Not off the top of my head.
And then couple of related questions. You know, could a party make claim that they're going to occupy it? Oh, my kid is gonna live there or whatever, and then they own it or they buy it, they refurbish it, and then they flip it. Is
Sure.
there any safeguards against that? And then I'll ask the next one, at the same time, is how will this be monitored and enforced? Is that up to our environmental services or assessors?
You know, that's one thing we haven't talked about, so that would be one thing that we would have to figure out in that 30 days prior to the auction coming due. Might be some sort of a, possibly a statement that's signed by the buyer. I don't know, we could work with Attorney Baker on that and try and get some clarification.
I used to be in the seed corn business, and we would go to our national meetings in late summer, and they'd roll out the new programs for this year's dealers, and by the time we got back to Cedar Rapids, Iowa from Des Moines, the dealers back in Minnesota had loopholes figured out, so.
Sure,
That's
sure.
why I'm asking these questions.
Sure, no, understandable.
Now, my understanding is also that if these properties do not sell through these new processes, there is a mechanism then by which then that they can be sold under the terms of the old statute,
Correct.
which allows for some maybe a little more creative ways to get these properties sold, rehabbed, back on the
Yes.
tax rolls.
Yes. So if we go through both of these sales and they're still not sold, then we can revert to the old process. And in that case, it may be possible to do a contract. Those restrictions would possibly be gone. So those would be things we would need to look at.
And there's some public purpose.
Yes, yes,
Clauses within that potentially a local unit of government.
Correct.
Could.
Correct.
Could perhaps then participate in that regard.
yes. One thing I wanted to mention to that fact is, so after that first 30 days, that residential requirement, if indeed an entity such as a public unit of government wanted to purchase, but they didn't qualify under that residential requirement, they may qualify at the next auction to purchase that way.
Okay. Commissioner,
Yeah, I just want to make clear that I'm not actually not opposed to an entrepreneur who buys some of these properties, fixes them up, and puts them back on the market for a family. We need those kind of places.
Sure.
And not everybody who wishes to own a home has the skill set to renovate a home and get it into livable conditions. And so I'm guessing that we're going to find out, like so many things that get passed at the legislature or by the courts, that there's a lot of tails that we haven't figured out yet in this process. I would move on resolution 20, this is 13? First one is 13?
Yes.
it is.
Resolution 2026-13.
Second that, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion and a second to move on Resolution 2026-13. Further discussion, questions? All right, hearing none. Then all in favor of approval of Resolution 2026-13, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. And then we have 2026-14, which is the second process, yes?
Right, so the second process, like I said, these are properties that were forfeited after December 31st of 2023. This is a whole new set of rules for the auctions, and the first being what's called an EMV, or estimated market value sale. So the first auction, we're proposing to be on March 31st at 9 a.m. And these are parcels, there are only 3, but these parcels, the sale price, the starting sale price, if you will, is the estimated market value at the time of forfeiture. Again, there is one caveat to, we are able to add some fees or costs that the county may have incurred into that sale price. And so the sale prices are as listed there. There is a couple of them that have some odd dollars, and that is due to some fees that were incurred by the county, and also some special assessments that were levied after the time of forfeiture. So some street work or things like that. So again, the price is set for the first 30 days. If they don't sell at that first sale, they could be purchased at our office over the counter, but that price is set for the first 30 days. Then the second sale, if those 3 properties or any of them remain unsold, then for the second sale, the price drops to what they call the minimum bid, which is the sum of the delinquent taxes, assessments, and fees at the time of forfeiture. And then any special assessments that were levied or scheduled to be levied that are not included in this could be reassessed by the city or township upon purchase. So what I've written into the terms of sale is that, like with any of these properties, the potential buyers and bidders need to do their homework, need to do their research on what fees may be incurred once the property is purchased. So we are required to list the EMV, or the starting bid price for that first auction, and then also what the starting bid would drop to if they remain for the second auction. And then that, again, would stay for those 30 days.
Okay. And just to clarify, these are going to be in-person auctions.
Correct.
And so, and then if somebody wants to go actually take a look at the property and they want to get inside, they would work with your office to do that?
Yes, that's correct. We do have access. There are 3 homes within the city of Willmar, and we have keys for that, so we could arrange a walkthrough.
And I know, I've been in one of them multiple times, and you would not be out of place if you wore a hazmat suit.
Right.
For certain, at least something over covering your mouth and nose.
It is important to notice along with those lines that the properties are to be sold as is where is. So they're, whatever's in the homes goes with the home. Whatever is or isn't, I should say. I have not personally been in them, but we have staff that have been. So. Any other-
Commissioner Anderson.
So I'm just making a little joke here, so that all that other stuff, that's free, that goes with it, so.
Just like the storage unit.
Yeah, you're gonna get rich on that free stuff. All right, do we have any other questions for Michelle? If not, can I entertain a motion for Resolution 2026-14?
Mr. Chair, I'll move.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson moves.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Dwayne Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? That was less painful than I thought it was going to be.
Like I said, there's a lot of
There's a
stuff
lot
to
of
get
moving
through, but,
parts. Yeah,
yeah.
Commissioner Anderson.
I just know that there's a person in Sunburg that'll be really happy that this is happening, and I've gotten a lot of phone calls about that one property, and they really want it cleaned up, and this will be great. I mean, I'm gonna be excited to call them after this and say, hey, it's on the auction, it's gonna get done, so thanks for all the work you guys have done with this and getting this put together so it can get cleaned up, so, thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, we have a motion and a second to move on Resolution 2026-14. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. Thank you very much. And at this time, we will ask County Administrator Kelsey Baker to bring forward the Prairie Lakes Youth Programs lease agreement. Kelsey, thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kelsey Baker, Candioi County Administrator. As the board chair said, before you today, you have the Prairie Lakes Youth Program lease agreement with Candioi County. This was approved for an extension through March 13th, 2026, in hopes that Prairie Lakes would be moving down the road a little further on some building projects that they have been working on. And so the agreement's coming to the county board today at this meeting, and then the agreement will go be discussed at the Prairie Lakes Youth Board meeting tomorrow. And there is a correction. The fire was the 1804 building. 1808 is the secure building. So within the agreement, we had not changed the dollar amount. So the annual rent was updated in that agreement. This is unchanged. Due to having a good working relationships with Prairie Lakes, I spoke with Commissioner Berg, who sits on that joint powers. Prairie Lakes has been looking at building options and what will be their best option moving forward long-term. And so I did not raise their rent because they're in the process of looking at structures and where the best use will be. Now, if they decide to stay in 1808 and stay within the building along with a lease with the county, we will revisit that lease amount. But their annual rent is $43,790.40, making their monthly rent for the one building $3,649.20, and that's equivalent to 12 installments throughout the year. That would be $2 per square foot. And then if the lease would be commencing March 14th, 2026, continuing through March 31st, 2027, and then we'll go around 6 months period, and that is listed on page 3 under the options. So following the March 31st, if we need to extend that, it would go from April 1st to December 31st, and then January to March, April to December. I did speak with the executive director, Kristen Johnson. She feels comfortable with this. And like I said, this is really hoping that the county board or Prairie Lakes Youth Program would have a better understanding of where they want to be long-term to run Prairie Lakes Youth Programs. And so I think it's working well with Prairie Lakes and with the county on how we can stabilize them and then continue helping them move forward and giving them this time. And so today I would ask for approval, sorry, this is up here. I would ask for approval on the agreement.
Thank you. You've heard the recommendation of the administrator. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I also moved on the agreement.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Imdek. Discussion. Commissioner Imdek.
Thank you. Ms. Baker, there's 2 highlighted areas, and I see no strike-throughs, with replacement language, so there's no material changes to this from the previous contract, other than the options added and then the 1-year lease.
Correct. Yep. And just to maybe expand on that a little bit, the county has always held it within the lease that we handle things outdoors. So I think that's where the discrepancy is coming with the windows within the Prairie Lakes Youth Board and the county. And so we've worked through some of those issues, but you are correct. Nothing substantial has changed outside of correcting that dollar amount and then the lease timeline.
So you mean we had to wash the outside of the windows and they had to wash the inside of the windows? Is that what that?
Well, it's a little bit more in depth, we don't have to go into, but the replacement of the windows really needs to be done. And so we've been working through that on who does what.
Commissioner Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll put on my Prairie Lakes Youth Program Board hat, and I want to thank Administrator Baker for putting this together. It seems very reasonable, $2 a square foot for any business is a bargain. And what we're getting for that is that then the county is going to maintain the property outside, getting rid of the snow in the parking lot and so forth. But so it seems very reasonable, it seems very fair. It hasn't, as you mentioned, has not been to the board yet for Prairie Lakes Youth Program with the other 4 counties, but I can't picture there'd be an issue with this at all going forward, and we just really like to appreciate the flexibility. Also like to add that it is a joint powers, and yet, you know, we sit on that joint powers, and in some ways, it's really Candioi County's facility in a sense that if it ever came down to it, these other counties, you know, would not want to really probably step forward with any significant dollars or commitment to building at this point, because the advantage is to Candioi County, we employ close to 100 people there, and a lot of kids come into that facility, and it's the closest one we have, and it's very important for the Sheriff's Department to be able to take children there that need detention. And we take, you know, all kinds of situations with kids, adolescents that need to be detained, including murder and so forth there. It has not been updated for years, and that's where we're struggling, you know. And we got really close, maybe just a little bit of history, if I may, since we do have some time. Back in 2019, Representative Baker worked really hard and worked with Prairie Lakes Youth Program and got a grant available for over $1 million to update it. And at that time, there was a match to it. And just to update the board on that, the board was prepared to have a $500,000 match. And I would hope if we ever go down the road again that we would still be supportive of that, because it's an asset to our county in so many different levels, but even on the economic level, that we would keep that in our mind as we do support that going forward, just in case something does come up, and I hope something does come up. I think these kiddos need a decent place for detention. So anyway, enough said about that, but thank you so much going forward, and I really hope this passes.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else? All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve the lease agreement for Prairie Lakes Youth Programs. Last call for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That motion passes. Thank you very much. I do want to thank my friend Commissioner Berg for helping me out with one of his pair of cheaters. Somebody forgot to put any in my pocket this morning. We are now at the County Administrator Annual Performance Review, and the Administrator has the option of having this review held in a open or a closed session, and you've indicated, Kelsey, that right here in open session is fine. Is that all still good?
Yep.
All right, very good. So I just, I wanted to go over a couple of things very briefly. Let me switch screens here. There we go. Vice Chair Anderson and I spent some time yesterday going over the accumulated reviews that commissioners have shared. And there are several items that we had some common themes. Under the heading, what is the county administrator doing well? Certainly holding people accountable, and that is staff, department heads, and our board, and making sure that communication is especially strong with everybody across the enterprise. It was noted that employee retention rates have become much stronger during Kelsey's tenure. Employee morale is especially high. And it was noted that she had an exceptionally strong year last year, bringing the board and department heads along in the creation of the strategic plan for the county. I know it wasn't necessarily mentioned in here, but the new logo at minimal cost was also a win. And then the work to bring forward our building committee and bringing to the board the need for a new Justice Center and remodeling this building here. The administrator absolutely demonstrates a strong work ethic. Is proactive and prompt in returning calls, answering questions. And as far as what could the administrator improve upon, there's a suggestion to see some changes in regards to building permits and planning and zoning, trying to help people instead of making things harder for them. And also that we hold more discussions of all, and I assume with other departments, so that we can, as a board, gain additional understanding of all of these different areas. And also that, that the administrator continue to work confidently, recognizing also the need for boundaries regarding work-life balance, and while overall communication is strong, there's room to continue to expand communication across the board and the entire enterprise. Broader engagement would help enhance, further enhance transportation and transparency and collaboration. Trying to mash up two words, I guess. And working more with our state and federal representatives on our county and regional priorities and goals. As far as priorities or goals that you'd like to see this administrator focus on in the next 1 to 3 years, the building projects, technology is really a big one as well, moving us forward, as well as helping us in whatever way she can to push the state to do the systems modernization that our eligibility workers and others need to be able to do their work. And then assessing the parks and further developing long-term plan and goals. I know we have a parks plan that isn't that old, but probably need maybe another fresh set of eyes on that. Looking to potentially streamline agenda setting, trying to make it easier to bring items forward for board discussion. Expansion of work sessions is something that is suggested as well. It's also noted that the budget process is much improved, but continue looking at ways to enhance that process and ensure that all stakeholders are equally informed. And while there are already positive areas, continuing to refine those areas that bring continual success. And there's some maybe working on maybe moving some offices around out here and doing something different in the lobby if for some reason we don't receive authorization from either the state or ultimately the voters to proceed with the Justice Center project. It was also noted that this year will be really challenging at the legislature as we try to get permission to bring that plan to the voters, and planning for a voter information campaign should we receive approval, should actually start soon, sooner rather than later. We also have all of our bargaining units coming up this year. And so that's going to be a high wire act, so to speak, in meeting state and federal mandates while trying to our best to protect property taxpayers from high levy increases. And all of her skills are going to need to be brought forward on that. and also a long look, near and long-term, at non-mandated services, and assessing whether or not some of those can continue to be sustained, or if they need to be potentially looked at for inclusion on the chopping block. What happens over the next several years, especially with it's highly dependent upon what happens at the state and federal levels. But overall, it's felt that the administrator has changed the culture among the workforce and the organization for the better. And that particular writer is grateful for her leadership in these uncertain times. There were several other thoughts. Problem solving, always making sure there's enough interest to then discuss the issue. Good at knowing what the issues are and can always answer questions right away. Communication, making sure that we have ample time to look things over, and also contacts us before the meetings, and again, is responsive if need be. And very good at getting things done, and never feel that she hasn't followed through. That's a Cliff Notes version of what's in here. I want to thank the members for their comments on this, and Kelsey, I hope this is satisfying for you to hear, and I don't know if you want to or need to have any comment on that, or.
I mean, I can, I think some of those, and I'll review this with the chair and the vice chair again, but I think per the strategic plan to improve the internal communication, which I think we've done, newsletters, all staff meetings, or all staff emails, department head meetings and updates, and also doing more of the community events, to getting, showing up at community presentations, and it's not just me, it's all staff as well. It's different departments that go and talk with community groups and community members. Because I think one thing that counties don't always do well, and we're all guilty of, is we don't give ourselves enough credit and pat ourselves on the back and how much we play in certain roles with nonprofits and things like that. Can you continue to bring training and education? And I think the staff have really appreciated that the board has been supportive with this and bringing professional development training into the county to help with education and promoting from within. To continue to guide internal policies and keeping those up to date. I don't think that's anything that's easy to do, because it seems like a minimal task, but then it does matter when the rubber meets the road. Just to touch briefly on the turnover rate, ending in 2025, December 31st, 2025, our turnover rate went from a 13% to a 9%. From 2023 to 2025, and so I think that is a substantial positive thing that's happened within Candiota County, but I can't take all the credit. It's our department heads, it's the board, it's the staff that all make this work. And so just to end this, I am grateful to this county board. I'm grateful to the constituents and the staff to allow me to have this position. I'm always grateful to do this job. I enjoy my job tremendously. I enjoy the work that county government does, and I think to look to all county commissioners to work on my state and federal legislative issues and keeping Candiota County at the forefront of the state is something that this county has always done well, and I hope to continue doing that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. With that, Commissioner Burke.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. Listening to this, Administrator Baker has had a lot on her plate this past year, and the 2 years before that as well. And several of those comments you made, I also was quoted in those, and I just really want to say thank you for the past year.
Thank you. All right, with that then, we are at the towards the end of our agenda, so we have, are there any administrative updates, Kelsey, that you want to make?
Just that we'll have, you had scheduled the Health and Human Services work session for Monday, March 2nd. The listening schedule, I want to just verify, I put that on here for 5:30 Monday, March 9th. I know it was discussed, but I just wanted to verify that that was still gonna happen, so, so that we meet our notifications for open meeting law. So this is our public notice, that then it will, and I'll probably still do a notice within the paper to get the word out for that listening session. That's for the shotgun rifle discussion. It's at 5:30.
And we'll have that in the NPR?
Yes.
Okay.
NPR or EOC, I just gotta check room availability.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you already did. Yep, thank you, Leah.
so
And
it-
then,
And so it is NPR?
yeah,
Okay.
I'll get that out.
multipurpose room.
And then,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to follow up on that, this is going to be a listening session, not a discussion, right? So just to be really clear, and I noticed on the agenda, the DNR is going to be there. Is that,
Working on getting somebody from the DNR to talk about this and kind of set the table.
but there won't be a
For the,
discussion, but they're going to give the background on it and then,
Yep, yep.
just be clear.
And there may be one or two points of clarification that I know I might have, just in terms of what it is we can and can't do by the statute. Somebody communicated with me and asked about limiting magazine capacity. Well, I don't know if that's in our bailiwick or not, so. So at any rate, we'll be listening on that, and then we'll have a public hearing scheduled, and a decision needs to be made no later than, I think it's May 5th? Yep. Okay. Any questions for the administrator on that? Okay, and anything else for administrative updates? All right. And we don't have any, do we have any appointments that we need to address? Members, do we have anyone that you're still looking for that we should be
Still hunting
aware
for
of?
somebody, yes.
What do you need to fill?
I got two I have to fill, and extension is one of them too. So.
Okay, and that's from your district, yes?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, I gotta speak louder.
Oh, yeah, it's, you don't whisper around me anymore,
Okay.
so, unless you don't want me to hear it. And so then, calendars and committee reports. Dale, would you start us off?
Sure. I had a ditch meeting up in Benson on the 6th. They're putting in a different box culvert. It's part of our road project that we're working on 25, I think. I'm gonna say that wrong road number, but it's on the, it's a big project that we're starting, just replacing box culvert, and they had to be in on that watershed is with Swift County also, so. We had a health board meeting on the 10th. That's always interesting to see what's going on in public health and to hear where things are at with the cannabis and stuff like that. We had a little discussion about that in that. And that evening, I had a Middle Fork watershed meeting. They're starting their Mongolia Lake Rock Rapids project and trying to get as much done as they can before frost comes out. Then they have to quit until next winter. It's only a winter project. It can't be done in the summer. And then they're gonna replace a bridge there that people drive across also with that project. So that was interesting. And then on the 13th, I was part of a Zoom meeting for CCT for discussion on their organization and where it's going forward. So that's what I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've had several meetings, and also, like everybody else, a lot of these meetings don't reflect all the phone calls and so forth and other paperwork we end up having to do. After the last board meeting, we had a special EDC meeting, and there was two other board members on that board as well, and that was to look forward and working, making decisions to hire a new director. And then I had a Prime West, and Prime West is the healthcare services for those people on some kind of medical assistance for healthcare. And actually, with all the changes taking place with that and some of the rules and regulations, there's going to be tens of thousands of people on that receiving healthcare services through insurance through them, and they're managing there's 4 or 5 different programs, but there's really the biggest one is the Medicaid program. And a lot of changes going on, taking on that many people at one time too, but they're moving forward, and it's really good that we have this kind of healthcare taking place in our county, in our region, our catchment area. That was on a whole day meeting, and then also I had a Hot Creek project meeting, as well as a Hot Creek One Watershed Plan meeting, and that's 2 different groups dealing with the watershed of Hot Creek and the dollars, and working with Bowser or the state of Minnesota that oversees all these watershed districts. I had a PAC-4 for family electoral officials board meeting with the 4 other counties on the 11th, and reviewed a lot of the things that have been taking place with PAC-4. The good news is that, we're all aware of the SAMHSA grant that was $1.2 million that the federal government decided to just one evening send out an email saying the money is gone, and as of this moment. And the good news is that 3 days later, they sent out an email to the director saying, well, there was a lot of complaints about that, and we're going to reinstate it immediately. So we're moving forward again, and we just worry about the funding not being very stable for that, but it's making good progress. I had a EDC, Economic Development Commission, joint ops board meeting, and I attended that, and there's some really good changes, I think, taking place with the EDC, including the joint ops and the organization of that. So feeling real positive about that. I also, in Marshall, had practically an all-day meeting last Friday for the 18-county adult mental health program, this Adult Mental Health Consortium, and the 18 counties was for the elected officials on that board, and reviewing the dollars we get from the state. And this was formed years ago when they closed down the state hospital as some way to keep some of those dollars that we lost from mental health care that were going to the state hospital back to the communities. And things have changed a lot since that's happened. But these are some dollars that come in, and all 18 counties then divide these dollars up and use them with their mental health centers or with their county staff and other agencies involved. And this was elected officials of the board, and they had their annual election, and I'm the secretary again, so that's really good. The good news is I really don't take the notes, but I do review them. But the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary, we review monthly the advisory board that the staff, the directors of the human service departments and the mental health centers are part of, and they do all that work, and they bring it forward to us. We meet quarterly as a full board to ratify all decisions, but then the 3 officers of the board approve those each month. And I believe I got another meeting this afternoon, but other than that, I think that pretty well sums it up. Thank you.
Very good, thank you so much. Commissioner Anderson.
Yeah, I didn't have any meetings this time, and I was checking my schedule every day, and it's like, am I missing something? But so I was lucky that way, but sometimes it's better if you do have meetings, because then you're not missing it, but.
If you're missing something, how will you know?
Yeah, that's right. So,
All right.
that's my report, there's
Well,
nothing to report. So.
Thank you, Slacker. Will, just teasing. Commissioner Mdek.
Thank you. So I didn't have a lot of meetings that haven't already been reported on. But I serve on the Highway 23 Coalition Board as of the first of the year roughly, or late last year, and we have a meeting again tomorrow morning. But Highway 23 was notified recently from Senator Klobuchar's office that we are receiving a $3 million planning grant largely for that, the 2.5 miles of pavement east or on the south end of town. And as part of what Highway Engineer Mel Odens and I will do in Washington next week is to visit with staff, especially Klobuchar staff, of what the next steps will be, because the whole project will require about another 17 million to construct, and it'll be a lot of time. There will be a match required of this $3 million grant, and that's comes to about $750,000. So that all has to be worked out. There's plenty of time to work it out, but personally, I'm hoping that we can do that sooner rather than later. And then last week, I was part of AMC Futures, and driving down to the Futures meeting, I was listening to NPR and listening to the speech by the board czar, Tom Homan. And I think Futures went off a script just a little bit, and they opened up the conversation regarding ICE. And so that prompted me, if you would indulge me, I have a statement that I think is kind of important regarding all that we've gone through, and so I'll just read it so that I don't leave things out. But I already mentioned being at AMC Futures last week, and over the weekend, I received a number of postcards from residents extolling the board to take a stand on ICE activity in our county. The criticism really isn't unjustified. As a member of the KCED board, Joint Powers Board, I moved to ask staff to prepare a letter illustrating the economic and social damage to our community. The board members present unanimously approved this action. The Wilmer City Council made a similar statement. And at the urging of community members, our last meeting saw the addition of an agenda item to explain the 287G amendment of our ICE detainee contract. I was thankful and relieved that this item was added to the agenda. However, we had an elephant in the room, and that is the impacts of ICE in our county. We did not address it. We should not be scared of that elephant.
Thank you. Anything else that you'd like to? All right, very good. Thank you for that.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Burke.
Thank you. I strongly support what you said, strongly, that we should be doing more.
It's my turn now, and to that point, I'll piggyback off of this a little bit. I've had two things that have come across my desk recently, and one of those was the opportunity to work with one of our colleagues from Ramsey County, Commissioner Garrison McMurtry, and we are working on a joint op-ed piece, specifically talking about a lot of the impacts that you're referencing, Commissioner, as well as next steps forward, and how can we be hopeful coming out of this, and how can we help our friends and neighbors and all of the different businesses that have been impacted. And I think we've just this morning seen the final version of that, and now we're just looking for a place to publish. And there may be other commissioners that join us in on this, but that's I was happy to be asked to contribute to that effort. I also was asked to be part of a small group who had the pleasure of meeting with Minnesota Senate Majority Leader Aaron Murphy on Sunday. Senator Murphy wanted to come out and hear from folks out here because what happens just in the Twin Cities, especially where ICE has been concerned, is we're going through much the same thing. One of my friends was unjustly detained and beaten, and this was somebody that they knew was legal. They just wanted to tell him not to be standing up for our folks here anymore, and he was put in a situation of personal danger to himself through these untrained and unprofessional agents. If there's going to be an ICE presence left in Minnesota, it needs to revert back to the professionals and not the cowboys. The professionals that our law enforcement has always worked with in the past have been nothing but professional. Our jail, by the way, has to be inspected at least twice a year by ICE. And they, believe it or not, have standards that we have to meet. And for a quarter of a century, that is a relationship that Candioi County has had that has served the county and and the federal government well. But the actions that have been taking place out in our communities have been met with strong resistance from just folks like you and me, members of the general public. Those need to stop. They are singularly unhelpful. They are put people in danger. They do not enhance public safety. They take away from that. And so I'm happy to visit with Commissioner Imdek and talk about potential next steps that might wish to bring before this board. I think that's a proper discussion to have. Commissioner Burke.
Thank you. You made a really good point. I do want to emphasize that we do support our sheriff's department and our police department, and we do have a good sheriff's department and police department. But we, like you said, there's some bad actors out there in the community, and I personally also know somebody who was picked up just because of the color of the skin they had, and picked up and driven away and held in the vehicle for a while, and then told him to get out and made him walk back in the cold to his vehicle. And just because the person, he had his driver's license, he was born here and everything else, but his skin wasn't the right color. And these are the kind of things we don't want happening here. This is just uncalled for. And I think we need to take even more action. Even though it looks like it's simmering down, it scares me that they can do it and they can just buy with it and they can come back and do the same thing. And I think we need to take some kind of action.
Thank you for that. I just want to move forward. The administrator gave me a letter that was actually addressed to me as the chair from Minnesota Department of Human Services, Office of Internal Controls and Accountability. And this, they're conducting a review of county audits for the year ending in 2024. And essentially what this is that they are looking to see if the findings that were contained in the audit are sufficient for these purposes, and the actions that we have in the audit specified are going to be taking place, if those are going to be sufficient, or if DHS needs to require more of us. And they found that the corrective action plan included in the audit for 2024, those were acceptable if completed within the proposed timeline. I do also want to remind folks out there that our county staff, we have a fraud department within the county, and it's pretty active. And if there are folks who are getting benefits that they shouldn't be getting, then action is taken. So most of what we're finding in the way of fraud is at the state level, and it's not at the county level by and large. We have little control other than what parameters the state says that we need to follow. There's not a lot of wiggle room for anyone to be acting outside the scope of their duties at the county level. Whatever oversight has been lacking at the state level, I believe there were already correction plans in place, but this is going to be a hot topic for the legislature. I hope that our legislature will look at this not as an opportunity to score political points, but to look at how do we prevent this from happening in the future? How do we rectify what's happening now? Because there's far too much at stake this time around, especially in a short session when hopefully we have a bonding bill that gets done this year. That's kind of the main purpose for this session. And so we'll see where that takes us. But again, I'm hopeful that the tide is turning in a number of different areas and looking forward to what we can accomplish as a county in 2026. Anybody else with any last thoughts, comments?
I would just have a follow-up to the fraud discussion. You know, to a certain population, they don't distinguish between feeding our future and county government. And they think there's fraud going on here and that we are complicit in it because we don't, root it out. And when a previous Health and Human Services Director was here, we would ask if you know of fraud, because we always hear, oh yeah, so-and-so's brother-in-law is living in the basement and not paying any rent, just the stuff you hear. And Ann would always say, if you know about those things, here's the number to call and turn them in. So I'd like for us to publish that number so that people can call in their fraud complaints.
There you go. All right, very good. Anything else for the good of the order today? If not, then the Board of Commissioners is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.